Zach Seyko, Locked On Nittany Lions, Penn State, Ohio State. Give me your case for those Nittany Lions to get it done in what would be an upset, a 4.5-point upset on the road this week.
Yeah, and for it to be, it's going to be an upset, but this is a very close game. The margin's not very far. Penn State, I think, on a neutral field is actually a favorite in this case, but the Nittany Lions have taken a leap forward here. The Ohio State Buckeyes, in my opinion, have taken a slight step back, and Penn State also catches Ohio State. Unfortunately for college football fans, just in a better spot. As a neutral college football fan, Ohio State's banged up and it's not just a couple rotational guys. Ravion Henderson, Emeka Egbuka, Mayan Williams, to your top two running backs, to your second best wide receiver with Marvin Harrison Jr. But Penn State, let's not talk about the guys that are unavailable for Ohio State. How about the guys that are available for Penn State? This is a team that is littered with first-round talent, specifically on defense. Kalen King, Chop Robinson. I'd even argue that Curtis Jacobs could be a fringe day one pick. But and then just factor in that Penn State now has Drew Aller, Nicholas Singleton, Katron Allen. On offense, the talent is there, and Penn State has finally closed that gap that was pretty wide, especially the past 3 seasons between these two teams.
Wow, always great to hear a technician get love on this show. You knew I was going to do it as soon as you shouted out Kalen King. But now, let me ask you this. Last time you were here, I asked you who the unheralded players are that could show out and have a big game. But let's just be honest. There is a reason that they're the underdogs. Who are the players that you're looking at on Penn State that you're saying, this player has to have a big game? They may not be a household name, but this player, if they have a big game, if they do a good job of neutralizing such and so from Ohio State, we win this game hands down. Who are you looking at?
Well, Kenton, I appreciate that question. I actually already had a little bit of preparation for this because I did that in my individual game preview on Locked On Nittany Lions. Dante Cephas. It is Dante Cephas who transferred in Kent State, all the lofty expectations that, hey, this was the next guy or this was the one that was going to at least help Penn State because the wide receiver room is one of the weaker links on the team, if you can find any on this Penn State team. Dante Cephas is quick. He's fast. He's the one that gives you that deep threat ability. You look at the statistics, Penn State has only attempted 11 passes of 20-plus or more yards, with Drew Aller at quarterback, who has one of the better arms in the country, in all of the country, and nobody has stretched the field. Nobody has tried to stretch the field. Dante Cephas has done this once. And I think about this. Penn State has been very tight to the vest with what they want to show anybody because they've had that fortune. You played that type of schedule. I get it. They're not battle tested, but that was also an opportunity for them to conceal some plays that they're going to need against Ohio State and Michigan. Penn State's thinking long term here. Why would you call these kinds of plays against Illinois, Northwestern, Delaware, even Iowa? You were able to hide some stuff away from Iowa, who's probably going to go 11-1 and be the team in the Big Ten West. Dante Cephas needs to become that household name because now you've had the bye week. There's no excuses anymore. Well, he transferred in late. There's some things he needs to pick up with the playbook. That's at this point, now that you're past the bye week, that can't be the excuse anymore. I was making that excuse for him. I've run out of time here. If Penn State wants to help out the run game in itself, keep Ohio State's defense honest, Dante Cephas over the top, at least to open things up schematically so that the ground game isn't smothered by a Jim Knowles who's going to try to sell out for it with cover 0.
And 2 incredible defenses in this game. Ohio State in the top 10, Penn State number 1, and Manny Diaz doing a tremendous job. I didn't love him as a head coach in Miami, but I absolutely loved him and still love him as a defensive coordinator. What are some of the key matchups there? Because obviously Ohio State littered with top wide receivers left and right, and their offense seems to be finding themselves. They're a lot better than they were at the start of the year.
Yeah, that's definitely the case, and that's going to happen with a first-year starter in quarterback Kyle McCord, a first-year offensive coordinator in Brian Hartline. Those when you make that kind of change, I think that hasn't been talked enough about for the Buckeyes here, but now they're at the midseason point too. Same thing with Penn State. They've had to kind of figure it out with a new starting quarterback and some small changes here and there. As far as what you're asking about defensive matchups, it's that pass rush, that blitz-heavy defense from Manny Diaz, who calls havoc type plays, blitz plays 56% of the time. That leads the country, and it's not even close. And the Ohio State offensive line, typically a top 5 unit, at least over the past 5 years, has taken a significant step back, and the tackles are more unreliable. The interior of the offensive line for the Buckeyes, pretty good. They returned 2 starters at guard, but the tackles, that's your questionable play. And where does all of Penn State's pressure come from? On the outside, Chop Robinson, Adisa Isaac, and then you send those cornerback blitzes from any which way. And Kyle McCord, a first-time starter. CJ Stroud didn't run a lot, but CJ Stroud was mobile. He could tuck it and run when he had to. And Justin Fields, we know he was a true dual threat quarterback. Kyle McCord is not that. So that's the matchup I'm really honing in on from Penn State's defensive perspective. And it helps when Henderson is not 100%. Don't know if he's going to play or not. Same thing with Mayan Williams. And then Emeka Ibuka. So you can focus a little more on Marvin Harrison Jr. because a Julian Fleming and those inexperienced freshmen, with all the potential in the world, I get it, are not where they need to be for this game specifically.
Zach Seyko, Locked On Nittany Lions. Before we get you out of here, give me a score prediction on this game with Ohio State and Penn State.
The total's taken a nosedive, and rightfully so. I mean, both these teams statistically are very good defensively. Penn State averaging 1 point. Everyone talks about the secondary. The run defense has allowed just 1.8 yards per carry. That's Madden on rookie mode and franchise type of numbers here. Yeah. So the Nittany Lions, I get it. The competition hasn't been the greatest. Ohio State has been battle tested with Notre Dame. Penn State played Iowa and West Virginia and handled them pretty well. We're finding out, Drake, you know this. West Virginia is much better than advertised. I'm going to go 27-22. It's going to be I go with the weird score for Ohio State because I don't think they'll have any problems moving the football. It's getting down into the red zone where they've been average. They've been okay. And Penn State, especially if you don't have Henderson and Williams at full strength and the play gets a little tighter down there, you're not going to, when it gets too close to the end zone, you are not going to have that capability of pushing the line of scrimmage forward. And Ohio State's going to settle for field goals. Penn State's going to get that pressure, cause some turnovers and short fields. And what they've been doing, grinding opponents down to a victory. 27-22 Penn State.
Not just a cover, an outright win for the Nittany Lions. That's Zach Seyko of Locked On Nittany Lions. Zach, thanks for joining Locked On College Football Kickoff Live.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me back. Appreciate it.